We need a leap! We need a leap!
Hello, Uncle Fry. I hope you are doing well.
Chat is saying you're muted on YouTube. Fry, don't ignore me. Smile, you're muted on YouTube.
I didn't realize we're muted. All right. There you go. Thanks, guys. I do appreciate it. Grave Robber only being a 2-1 rather than being a 2-2, in terms of the usage as a tempo card, really does significantly nerf it, because it's dying to just everything right now. 2 health is on par, 2-1 is very, very weak stats for a 1-drop, and again, it's not giving you that tempo like it used to. It still is reasonably aggressive, though. It's 2 damage bullseye. It can grow whenever you play a Gravestone. Yeah, super sad that the Flame Face is no longer a Gravestone, because that whole synergy went away. Also, just Pirates are kind of just a shell of their former self, so you're going to see Grave Robber not be run quite as much as it used to. It's a niche card, and it's okay, and I'm going to put it in low B tier. Next. What was the change of Conga? It just added the Barrel Tribe. I'm pretty sure that, right? This was Dancing Zombie, and now it's Dancing Barrel, because he has some kind of drum as a barrel. That's how that works in PvZ Heroes. So, yeah, the only difference of it having the Barrel Tribe is the fact that when you play this card, the Barrel of Barrels, you can get Conga. So how useful is Conga? Conman on turn 1, Conga on turn 2 is good. I feel like whenever I actually run Conga in a deck, it always has been quite good. The problem with Conga, again, nowadays, it's plagued by Sunshroom, because if they run Twin Sunflower on turn 2 and you have Conga Zombie, you're just cooked. They're going to gain 5 Sun the next turn. Really, a lot of just dealing with ramp would really make the crazy class specifically a lot better. So Conga, placing this into, if you're Infinity, placing this into Laser Base Alpha is always fun, because then it can sort of ping something for 1 and then kill it. But just in general, this can deal with Admiral Navy Beam and Astro Shroom, and just finish off, things that are going to be going down to 1 health, especially Conman on turn 1, Conga on turn 2. They put a 2/2 in front of your Conman, so you play Conman, they play Click P in front of it. Conga Zombie will now kill that 2/1 Click P and make your Conman live. So that's a really cool combo. Anyway, this hasn't actually changed at all since the last tier list. I have no idea even where I put it. I probably put it in low B or high C. I'm going to, because of this even could be B tier, but because of its place in the ramp meta right now, this can deal with Amphibious, okay? It's probably practically how much you should be looking to put this in your deck. It's around C tier. Next. Guys, this is egregious. This has been one of the most nerfed cards in PvZ here. I can't keep a straight face when saying it, but the only thing that changed about Cuckoo Zombie is that it used to be Pet Clock Zombie, and now it's Pet Zombie. Why? Clock Synergy was a meme. If anything, you should just be leaning in to the Clock Synergy. Maybe there's something about, like, when you're searching for something, but I didn't want clock. I don't understand. But they should have leaned into Clock Synergy. They should have made some synergy between Cuckoo Zombie and Wormhole Gatekeeper, who, I don't know, does he have a clock? Not really. Does Spacetime have a clock? Spacetime, I think, lives in a clock. No, it's a closet. It's not a clock. Anyway. They really should have leaned into the Clock Synergy instead of removing it. This is an absolute egregious, complete blunder by PopCap. Seriously, I don't even know what they were thinking getting rid of the Clock Synergy. How about every time you play a Clock Zombie, all Clock Zombies get +1/1 for the rest of the game? That would be cool. That would actually make this a really interesting card. You could have totally done that. Cuckoo Zombie is definitely going to please fix tier. We need the Clock Synergy back in the game. PopCap, I'm telling you, this is very important. Very, very important. All right, guys, here's Disco Dance Floor. This is one of the most nerfed. I mean, this was a very decent card before the nerf. It used to be Overshoot 3, and then also Fusion, a zombie played on this gets Overshoot 3. Aggro is too strong. I understand why this needed a nerf. This was one of the egregious aggro cards that was just winning too much and getting too much value. It's really pain to deal with at 3 health, and putting a minion in front of it doesn't even prevent the damage that turn. So if you leave it on the board, it's doing 6 damage total. It's ridiculous. This was a very, very good, very annoying card to deal with, and yeah, very aggressive. I think it got way over nerfed going down to 2. I really think what should have happened at least is Overshoot 2, and then the Fusion should still be giving Overshoot 3, or maybe even Overshoot 4. Like, make it more about the fusion of it. Honestly, this saying 2 and this one saying 4, I don't think that would be overpowered, because you're typically not getting very good fusions for Disco Dance Floor, and that would kind of turn it into the card that was supposed to be a nice fusion card, instead of just being a standalone aggro card. The Overshoot 2 and then the Fusion Overshoot 2, it's so sad. It just doesn't do enough damage. All this is doing is direct damage to face, and it's just not doing enough for a 2-cost card. If this card had Bullseye, this would be... Would that be OP? It probably would be OP if this had Bullseye. But 2 damage regular. For a 2-cost card, it's just not worth it. It doesn't do enough for a 2-cost card. Honestly, this is an F tier. I don't think there's ever... Anyway, oh, look at Science Synergy. This is the worst card to have Science Synergy, because gaining 1 attack doesn't help this card. Gadget Scientist, it doesn't work at all. The most useless card to have Science Synergy, seriously. Just because it's electronic, that makes it science? There's nothing scientific here. Come on, guys. That's not what science is. It should be electric synergy. Alright, here's a huge one. Man, the crazy class went from one of arguably the best class before the nerf, and it's become one of the worst now after the nerf. And here's a really massive one. Exploding Fruitcake used to do 7 damage, and now it does 5. I understand why this card needed to get nerfed, because 2 cost 7 damage. Your opponent conjures a fruit. Okay. It was way too good. It was so efficient, and it wasn't even a control card, it was a tempo card. It was an aggro card. You could automatically run this in any deck when it did 7 damage, and it was amazing because you're just going to automatically out-tempo whatever your opponent does. You can basically remove anything for 2. I mean, it was so egregious at 2. So I'm happy that this is 2-5. I do sometimes run this still. We did have like a binary stars deck that... with Gentleman Zombie, so you very much wanted to have 2-cost removal trick, and it really does fill that. It was very important to have exactly something that had 2 cost, because Gentleman Zombie activates it then. That gives you 2 brains during your trick phase. This still is very good at 2-cost 5. There's just typically... The only problem... This is a very good card, but the only problem is if you're using this as your big removal, it's going to be falling short. And that's because there's going to be a bunch of things in the plan side that this used to kill that it doesn't. Very good cards like Allosaurus, like... Wingnut, which, by the way, Brainstorm is so much weaker to Wingnut. Brainstorm relies so much on bonus attacks to get damage done, and Wingnut just destroys Brainstorm because you don't have that 7 damage answer. Also, Pecanolith, another really good card against the Crazy class. I mean, the Crazy class struggles so much against Pecanolith now. Simply because struggling to find Pecanolith. It's in Guardian. Come on, you know where it is. There's just no answer to this when you have the Crazy class, and this is the reason why if you have any other kind of removal, whether it be Deadly or it be Rocket Science or even Alien News, those are typically going to be better options. Because again, once something has more than 5 health, the Fruitcake is really just not going to answer it anymore. It also doesn't kill Dragon. It used to be the answer to Dragon. Dragon will make your Fruitcake cost 8, so you can actually play this the same turn, but now it doesn't. This is a really big one. This might even be the biggest one, that Fruitcake just doesn't kill this anymore, which is just really makes it very difficult to run index for that reason. What I think should have actually happened to this card is that it should have just cost 3. Instead of being a 2-cost card, it should have just gone to 3 and do 7 damage. Something like that. Because then it'll at least give the Crazy class an answer to some of these problematic cards. Or maybe Dragon should have 5 health, Pecanolith should have 5 health, and Allosaurus should have 5 health. Like, it could be just like, and Wingnut should also have 5 health. Honestly, all of those cards would be more they're all OP having 6 or 7 health, and all of those, like 6 cost, I don't need Exploding Fruitcake to answer 6 cost cards, but 5 cost cards or Dragon that's just so impactful. I would like to see Exploding Fruitcake kill that, and then Wingnut. All those cards should just have 5 health anyway. Wingnut having 7 health is ridiculous. The only thing that made Wingnut even slightly okay having 7 health was Exploding Fruitcake, but now that's gone. So Wingnut should get nerfed. Pecanolith should have 5 health. Pecanolith at 7 is OP. It actually is a super, super OP card. If you have Rolling Stone, you win, and if you don't, you lose. That's essentially what happens with Pecanolith these days. Yeah, and Dragon should have 5 health for sure. For sure should have 5 health. And probably other nerfs as well. Exploding Fruitcake in terms of actually running it in a deck because of that. I hate that this is a great card, but there's just some OP plants that make this not worth it anymore. Put in C tier. It's still decent, and again, it's cheaper. I get why they wanted to keep this at 2 because there's so many 3-cost removal cards. You have Rocket Science and Alien News, and you have Piano now. It's just sort of the 3 slot is saturated, so they wanted something at a different cost. I get it. I get having a 2-cost removal card is cool. But, yeah, it really just falls short at 5 damage, unfortunately, because it's a great card. I love the design of it. It's a quick removal card that's not too overpowered now, but it gives your opponent a fruit. Honestly, yeah, this is probably great at 2. We just need to nerf some plant health breakpoints in order to actually make this useful, which anyway, he nerfed. All right, Final Mission. This was a big one. Final Mission, the difference is that it used to be able to go face. Now it can only attack a plant. And this was another nerf to the crazy class, to the aggro strategy, which slowed down the game, which I love. The fact PvZ Heroes is a little bit its matches aren't ending on turn 3 and 4 is a good thing. Yeah, so running this, you're typically going to be running this in a deck with Barrel of Deadbeards. It was the activator, but the difference between this being able to go face and not, it was really huge because before you could just play your Barrel of Deadbeards on the board, dare your opponent to play anything because a Final Mission, it does 5 damage with Barrel of Deadbeards, 4 plus 1 splash. So it's going to basically kill anything until, turn 5 rolls around, doing 5 damage. And the option of this going face was always the big threat because you have that barrel. If they decide to play it slow, so then all of a sudden you're Final Missioning their face. You're doing 4 damage to their face with Final Mission, and then the Barrel of Deadbeard does another 4 damage. This was very cool with Binary Stars because now you have an 8 damage shot to their face. Any sort of aggressive strategy or even just tempo, just being able to, besides with Barrel of Deadbeards, just being able to take any minion and Final Missioning their face. One of your little backup dancers or one of your cheap cards, and just using this as a finisher. This was a very good finisher. They've removed the finishing power from this. And it's really just become sort of like a tempo card, and it really makes it a lot more niche. You have to be able to you're sacrificing a whole card in order to play this, so it's a 2-for-1. You have to have a really, really good target. There used to always be a good target for this. It's called their face. Now, at least a decent target, but now there's not always going to be a decent target to play this. And be able to hit on the board, which really reduces the usefulness of this card a lot. It still is useful, though, in decks with Barrel of Deadbeards, because then a lot of times you're going to be having Dance Off as one of your things, or you'll have Quasards in this deck, which sort of already got their value, and this really does represent... I mean, it's useful. It still is actually a pretty decent card. This hasn't gone nerfed completely. But yeah, rip the days where you used to be able to Gas Giant, if you're like... Gas Giant if you're Z-Mech. And then Final Mission their face, and then do like 9 damage that way. Those days are long gone. I get it. I get it. This is a pretty bad card now. This is probably less useful than Fruitcake. This could go in just low C tier or high D tier. It's pretty bad. Low B. It's definitely not going in low B. In a deck that doesn't have Barrel of Deadbeards, which isn't even great. Honestly, the other problem with this is Barrel of Deadbeards sucks, because Barrel of Deadbeards on 2 means they're just going to play ramp cards and they're going to beat you. I hate that the ramp meta screwed so many things up. I'm gonna actually put this in D tier, and this probably would be in C based on how powerful it was, but when you're really thinking about the meta and how, this is just a little bit too slow to deal with ramp these days, it actually does go in D. It's very sad. It's still useful though. It has niche uses, but you're only going to be running. Think of how many percentage of your zombie decks you're going to run Final Mission. It's like 1 in 100 maybe, and it doesn't even need it, you know? Next. Man. Speaking of dropping the ball, I don't know what the idea with this was. Do damage equal to the number of zombies. So this used to be 3 cost, deal 3 damage, and if you have a zombie in every single lane, it'll do 6 damage, which was basically impossible. You're never going to have a zombie in every single lane, and then the plants get to play, so they don't remove anything, and then the trick phase comes along, and you still have 5 zombies on the board. We've made meme decks focusing on that, and we were able to pull that off basically 1 out of every, like, 6 or 7 games, building a deck around that idea. It was really okay, but 3 cost, the Wrath being 3 cost 3 damage was okay. It was just kind of a very mediocre removal card. Now, this card is useless because at 2 costs, this is just complete garbage. Because how many zombies do you really expect to have on your board? And then the plants get to play, so they get a chance to remove everything, and the trick phase comes along. Just in an average game on an average turn. Doesn't matter if it's turn 2 or if it's turn... Well, if it's turn 2, you already spent your brains. You already spent your brains playing the zombies. So we're talking about it has to be at least turn 4 or 5. How many zombies on average do you have on your board when the trick phase comes along on turn 4 or 5? 2, maybe 3. Like, your average is basically 1. Like, if you have a lot, having 3 zombies is a ton. Having 2 is probably above that. It's probably like you have about 1.5 zombies on the board. This is basically 2 cost 2 damage, and it doesn't work on turn 2, by the way. It only works on later turns that you have brains to play both zombies and a trick. So on later turns, this is basically averaging 2 cost 2 damage. That's the problem with this. This sucks. This is just a absolute worse Bungie plumber. Run Bungie. This is a fine card. I think Wrath needs to... This Wrath is a terrible idea because it's so dependent on having zombies live. But this needs to cost 1. I don't think this would be overpowered at 1 because, again, it would basically average out, kind of being Bungie plumber. You would be able to play this like play a zombie on turn 1, then play a second zombie on turn 2 together with Wrath. That could work out, but then it's still maximum doing 2 damage then. This would still be worse than Bungie Plumber at 1, but at 2 this has no use. This is absolute trash. The Garg synergy used to be good with Gargologist because you could Gargologist on turn 3 and then Wrath to protect it from your opponent's 3/3s. But now you're not gonna you're playing this for 0 when you have 1 zombie on the board. It's just 1 damage. It's so bad. This is such a bad card. This is like so easy F tier. There's no use for this, man. Honestly, why not just go back to the old Wrath and just make it cost 2? Like 2 cost, 3 damage. It's not going to be any worse than Berry Blast at that point. And the fact that it could do more damage. It could do more damage if you have 5 zombies on the board. Dude, I think just bring back this old ability and make it cost 2. I don't think that would be too overpowered. Zombie tricks are supposed to be better than plant tricks because you have to commit for them, like I explained in the Shamrocket versus Rocket Science video. You have to plan ahead and leave over 2 brains to maybe have a good target for this, rather than Berry Blast. It's just in your hand and you get to use it with no commitment, no planning ahead. It's a lot more versatile. So this being Berry Blast but better would be a good thing. And then you have the Garg synergy. I'd love to just see this do 3 damage and cost 2. But right now, yeah, it's completely useless. And that's why. Abracadabra, this used to be a 3/2, now it's a 3/3. In the grand scheme of this card, that was not a very significant change. Because typically, if this is able to hit face, which means it's avoiding the block meter, it means also your opponent has to have a plant on the board for its ability to do anything. That plant has to be not in the lane of Abracadabra. They have to not be playing around. They have to have a plant in a different lane. So when all those conditions are fulfilled, this is a very good card. And when any one of those conditions are not fulfilled, including them not having grave removal, then this is a very, very bad card. And that's always been the problem with Abracadabra. It has a great ability that's very, very hard to pull off. The difference between having 3 health and 2 health just means that you kind of get a chance the next turn. Also, there's a lot of 2-attack plants. You know, Forget-Me-Nuts and Click P. There's a lot of 2-attack plants that are able to we're able to deal with the Abracadabra. You know, you're playing around, if you're Infinity, just for one of many examples, turn 3, you play Gravestone, you're playing around Stealthy Impumitus, and you're playing around Abracadabra as well by putting a 2-attack minion in front of it. Those 2-attack minions don't kill this. If this pops up and hits face, does its ability, or it gets blocked, it doesn't do its ability, it's just more likely to live the next turn. They're not able to just deal with it with 2 damage, they need 3 damage. So it's a little bit of it's a significant buff, but in the actual the way this card is used, the value of this card, it didn't really make that big of a difference. This is okay. It's high reward and much lower risk, because at least at the end of the day you got a 3 cost 3, which is par stats, as opposed to before it was 3 cost 3/2, which is below average stats. Where do we put Abracadabra here? Practically, and again, we try running this with Laser Base Alpha, we try running with the Overshoot environment in this class, which we'll get to in a second. I've really tried this a lot. It's never been great. It's always just been okay, just because I explained it. Every once in a while it shines, but it's usually just super, super mediocre because its ability doesn't work very often. Its ability actually activates about 1 out of every 4 times you play this card, you'll get 1 Abracadabra shot, which doesn't make it worth it. It just means there's going to be a better thing to run in your deck typically. I'm going to put this in C tier for that reason, because it's an unreliable card, and therefore there's typically going to be something better to run in your deck. All right, here's Moonbase Z, which is the Science Barrel environment. This is the same buff as Conga. I don't know why they I don't know why. What was the agenda that did Barrel of Barrels not have enough things it was hitting, that there just weren't enough, here, let's type the word barrel into here. And just, here's the barrel tribe, guys. You got Barrel Boy. Was there not they added it to Conga, and then they added Barrel to Moonbase Z? Was this a barrel? I don't remember if this was a barrel before. I think all the rest of these were, though. Oh, I think maybe this one wasn't a barrel. Was this? Oh yeah, this was always a barrel. So they just added the barrel. Barrel tribe. I don't know why. This is just this random idea where he was like, I don't know who implemented these changes. It probably was Devin Lowe. I don't get it. You can psychoanalyze it all you want, but this has nothing to do with PvZ Heroes. This is a psychology. This has to do with the psychology of whoever it was who pressed the button on this change. Why it's some obsession with there being more barrels. I don't know. Where's the barrel here? Is this the barrel? I don't even understand. Anyway, Moonbase Z, you play it for 3 and you get Overshoot 3. It's a pretty slow, pretty ineffectual card. There's almost always, just comparing it to the other 3 environments in the game, namely Laser Base Alpha and the almighty Area 22, which are in different classes, of course. This is definitely the worst of those 3 by far, because, the other ones can make your zombies go face for a lot of damage. This one just always does 3. This obviously is Overshoot, so your zombie doesn't have to live during the attack phase in order, I don't know. I guess Laser Base doesn't have to live either. Laser Base is so much better than this. This is the inferior base. Practically, I'm not going to put this in F tier, but this is going in low D tier. Every once in a while, again, you can play this with Space Time with your Abracadabras. It can pop off. You can play this with Tomb Raiser, which is a new card. We'll get to that when we get to the sneaky class. There's things that when they hit face, they do a lot. Maybe I should just try to do this with like Viking. I don't know. You guys want to see me build a deck around this? I think this is in D tier because there's almost always gonna, honestly, Trapper territory is better. Just in terms of covering your opponent's environments and doing little bits. Meteor Z, in my opinion, is better because it's cheaper. It's less of a commitment, and it has a very similar effect. Still doing 3 overshoot, it's adding to attack. The problem with this is, if there were no other environments in the game, this would go up in tiers, but because every hero, every crazy hero, but especially if you have any of the black hole, you're always going to have one other class, right? So if you're hardy, you're going to have black hole. And if you're sneaky, laser base alpha is just objectively better. So is graveyard. The brainy class doesn't have a better environment. This is very, very niche, and this is worse. So again, if you're exactly Professor Brainstorm and you're not have any leap synergy in your deck, I guess then, but if you're the beastly class, you're always running Area 22. And that's the reason why, that's the main reason why, since you're basically never looking ever to put this in a deck, except for meme decks. Moonbase Z is you're always going to have a better option. And Moonbase Z is going to go to D tier. Maybe if we would start nerfing some of the other environments, obviously, this stonks would then go up because you're looking to actually put it in decks. All right, here's Bobblehead, which was nerfed very severely because it used to be called Headhunter. That name change actually makes sense because when you type the word hunt into the collection, this won't come up anymore. So you'll be able to actually see your hunting zombies. The same thing with the Velociraptor hunters. Now they're called Velociraptor packmates, something like that. They got rid of the word hunt from these cards, so they're not coming up when you type hunt into the selection. Okay, so that's actually very practical, very pragmatic. That doesn't change the card very much. It's just quality of life while you're deck building. In terms of the actual nerf this card got, it used to be 3/4, and now it's 2/4. This card got nerfed for some reason. This never occurred to me as being a super high win rate card, but apparently it did. This is probably the same as, Zapricot, where it just had a high win rate. People who were running Bobblehead were running it in the correct decks and running in the dancing decks. We've had success in the past with Bobblehead, so they went from 3/4 to down to 2/4. I've never really found this to be super, super useful. If you're really going for big dancing combos, Binary Stars and Flamenco is the way that you really want to go. We'll get to Flamenco in a second. Bobblehead was sort of a second thought. We've had some success with this. We did have a deck that I want to bring back where you Nebula on turn 3 and then you play a dancing card plus Bobblehead plus another dancing card on turn 4. I do want to bring that back because that was a really fun combo. Practically this is in D tier, especially after the nerf, because now this has really bad stats. When you're upgrading it, it's 4 cost 4/6 now. It used to be 5/6, which was better. I don't think you really want to be running Bobblehead. It's only going to be in dancing decks, and honestly, in most dancing decks, I'm still not going to run Bobblehead, and that's why I'm putting it in D tier. All right, enough with all this gloomy. Look how sad this tier list is. We had the Smarty class, which was the sad one on the plant side. The crazy is the sad one on the zombie side, but here is something to smile about. I love this card so much. I don't run this nearly enough compared to how much I love it. I ran this in a bunch of decks right when the change happened. This used to be 5 cost 1/2. Now it's 4 cost 1/2, which is massive because you're getting 5 cost Gargs on turn 4, which is, it's punching just way. It used to be like on turn 5, you could either run your Garg or maybe you'll get a different Garg. Having this card spawn multiple Gargs happens very, very rarely. It's spawning one Garg happens often. It most of the time will. They could have Weed Whack or Hammer, something to remove it. But typically, they're still using resources to remove this card. But typically, getting this to spawn one Garg is not that difficult. And you're getting a 5 cost card for 4. So that's great. Even if you get Smashing Garg. Smashing Garg at 4 is fine. And again, you always have the possibility of spawning extra Gargs if you can get this in against team-ups, which is the easiest way, or just putting it in a black hole, getting it somehow taking 1 damage. You can do that yourself, or getting your opponent's plants to do 1 damage to it. I love this card so much. I definitely want to make more decks with this in it. We had a lot of success in Garg Z-Mech deck with this. You can do this in Boogaloo. The trick is to find a way to activate this card. That's the difficulty. So, obviously if they have a little cheap plant, or something to chump block, or they have team-ups on the board, it's even better. But you can place this into Black Hole, because that's going to sort of ensure that whatever plant they play is going to end up matching up with this. You can play this into Hunting Grounds if you're Electric Boogaloo, because then this card will grow a little bit and have Hunt. But it's really not that difficult of a card to activate, because they just have to... Really, its activation condition is they have a plant with 1 attack, at least 1 attack on the board. And at 4, it's really, really great. And then it's throwing it to a different lane. If you're playing this on the left, it can throw it to the right, and then you're getting like a free attack with the Garg. And there are some really good Gargs, and especially in this class, we'll be getting to those soon. Gargs have been buffed. 5-cost Gargs have been giga buffed, which makes this card much better than it was. The only thing I kind of wish is that there was a 5-cost 5/5 amphibious Garg, because since there's no amphibious Garg, this does have lane problems. A lot of times this will take damage and you're not gonna have an empty lane for it. That's the reason why instead of playing this to the left, you sort of want to play this card to the right more. Because, if you have a lot of zombies on the board, that's definitely a problem. On empty boards, it plays to the left, so it throws the Garg and you attack that turn. But on decks where you're going to have more of a full, you play it on the right, so during the attack phase, your zombies die, and then this takes damage. It's much more likely then to be able to get that value of throwing that Garg, throwing it to the left, because you'll have more likely to have clear lanes if this is sitting in a more right lane. Anyway, where does this actually go? I'm putting this in A tier as a placeholder, and I really, really want to run this card more. This is very, 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 very good. And I'm note to self, I gotta make more. Whether the deck is built, you don't, right now at 4 cost, at 5 cost, you kind of have to build the deck around Garg throwing it. Now at 4 cost, you don't have to. Just throw this into anything, and it's a really high value 4 cost card. That's the cool. I don't have to even build decks around this, but I'm really going to keep in mind to be running this more. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Love it. All right. Moving on to... this one was funny. And this is another prime example of the... for some of these... Again, some of the things that got changed, credit where credit is due. Some of the changes in the balance patches were brilliant, mind-blowing, better than anything I could have ever even imagined to think. Like Starch Lord. The buff to Starch Lord was brilliant. Is there anything in this class that I can call brilliant? The Garg Throwing Imp was a great example. This was really, really weak at 5. This is such a beautiful card at 4. Here's one of the examples of a card got nerfed because it had a high win rate. And the person who was in charge of deciding what the nerf was going to be had no idea why this card had a high win rate, so they just took away some stats. They just took away one. This used to be 3-2, and now it's 3-1. That has nothing to do with Flamenco Zombie. And Flamenco Zombie is... It's so funny how this nerf, I don't think, takes away not even 1% of how good the card is. Not even a little bit, because this is a finisher. It doesn't matter how much health. If this could have a 310, it wouldn't change. Okay, that would be really, really good, because they don't have to play it as a finisher anymore. But the point is, it doesn't matter how much health this card has, because you're just playing, this is the final nail in the coffin. Your opponent has a certain amount of health, and you just play Flamenco Zombie. For those of you who have been living under a rock and not been watching this channel the last few years, the absolute best combo with Flamenco is with Binary Stars. You Binary Stars on turn 6, you protect it with Bungee Plumber, which does 4 damage that turn, and then you play any other dancing card, and then you play your Flamenco Zombie. If you don't have any other dancing cards, just the Binary Stars and the Flamenco is already 8 damage. That's half of their health. This is doing 2 per dancing zombie. You have 2 Zamping zombies, which is 4, and it doubles to 8. If you have one other dancing card that you can play with the Flamenco, it's doing 12, which is more than half of their health. If you have done any damage with the Binary Stars the turn before, this is typically doing 6. So now you're at 16, or you're at either 14 or 18 18 damage depending if you had another zombie card. I mean, this is such a good finisher. It's very, very reliable, and I'll definitely bring back some binary flamenco at some point. Anyway, so again, it's niche. It's got to be in dancing decks. It's got to be with binary stars, but it's really, really, really powerful. If you got, well, search up on YouTube if you haven't seen it, the breakout video for binary stars flamenco. That was a couple years ago. It hasn't changed at all these days. I'm gonna optimistically put this in low A tier, probably based on how many decks you should really be putting this in. It's actually in B tier, but I'm gonna put this in low A tier to make a point, because binary flamenco is a beast. Okay, fine, it's in high B tier. It's too much of a stretch to put this in A, since again I'm trying to follow the rule. It's how many decks you're actually putting this in. It's a very, very niche but very, very powerful card. It's in the pinnacle of B tier. All right, next, here's two. We're ending off on a really good notes here. It looks like I did miss something, which is Cake. Now, Cake Explosion. Let's go back before we get into the happy gargs. We'll deal with some sadness. The reason this is in this tier list is because there was a minute where this was a 3-cost card, 3 cost, 4 damage, which didn't seem too OP to me, and it was very quickly reverted back to its old, very sad and completely unplayable state of 4-cost Cake Explosion. I mean, an absolute F tier card. There's no 4-cost. You're not going to reliably be dealing with 4-cost plants. 4-cost plants have 5, 6, and 7 health in this game. This doesn't do anything. At 3-cost, this was fine. I don't know why they didn't. I mean, comparing this to Rocket Science, also a 3-cost card. Remove a plant that has 4 or more attack, or do 4 to a plant. In this can't go face. You know, if this would go face, that would be a problem at 3 costs, but it can't go face. Get the imp synergy, so it's deadly with toxic waste imp. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just fun. This is an absolute F tier, and I would love to. I'm almost going to put this in please fix tier, because I would love to see this back just to being a 3-cost card. I understand it had a little bit of a high win rate. I don't think this is OP at 3. All right. Moving on to some awesomeness now. Frankitar is one of my favorite cards in PvZ Heroes. This used to just be 5-cost, 5/7, and it's growing every single time a zombie is destroyed, and that was a pretty half-decent card. But now, this is the only zombie, unprecedented, that has Splash. So first of all, it's just doing a lot more. Anytime you have a big Garg on the board, every Garg is a high risk, high reward. Because it can get removed by Shamrocking. Just get removed very easily, very efficiently. So you always want your Garg. That theme of these balance patches was make Gargs, make those expensive, high committive, dry zombies, make them do a little bit more. And this did. And the splash damage too, it first of all just does more. But the really beautiful thing about this card, the amazing thing about this card, is how the splash damage interacts with Frenzy. You can look this up on YouTube. I call this the Frenzy Frank combo. I did this with both Electric Boogaloo and with Z-Mech. So it'll be a Garg Z-Mech deck, and then it'll be the Frenzy Frank Boogaloo. I don't remember what that deck was called. Here's the combo, guys. When this card has Frenzy, so for example, let's say you play Going Viral on your Frankitar. So it's going to do then 6 damage, more if you have a zombie that's died already, but it's going to do 6 damage and then 2 damage splash. And if it kills anything, it's going to do another attack, which means it's doing that splash damage an extra time. So you can have situations where it's killing the thing in its lane, and then the things in the other lane, they're not dying to 2 damage, but they will die to 4 and 6 damage. So it's going to do another bonus attack and then kill the guy to the right lane, because it's doing splash damage in the 2 adjacent lanes. And then it's going to do another bonus attack, which does more splash damage to the one in the left, and attacks again and again and again, until it just completely demolishes your opponent all in one turn. That'll be the combo with Z-Mech, and of course, if you are Electric Boogaloo, You can do the combo with Area 22 and can also use Botanist to sort of feed little minions to the right and the left of where you set up the Frenzy Frank. Call it the Frenzy Frank combo. And it's really, really fun. It's one of the most fun things in PvZ Heroes, honestly. Besides for the fact this is just very good. And the cool thing about Frenzy Frank is that it's not just a meme. This happens so much more often. This happens a lot. Like when I run Frenzy and Frankatar, you get the Frenzy Frank like 1 out of every like 3 or 4 games. Like 1 out of every 3 to 5 games, you actually pull it off, and you just do this insane like 25 damage combo with all the bonus attacks that this is doing. Part of the reason is because most people just don't understand how this game mechanic works. That this is gonna keep on attacking and splashing again and again. And they're not just doing the math in their heads. I've seen opponents feed into this. I think if the average player was a little bit more aware of Frenzy Frank, this would get a lot worse. But now that people are completely unaware of it, this is so much fun, and I can't wait to do another. Frankatar deck. Practically, when are you running this in decks other than the fact that you love to do Frenzy Frank? This is very good in ZMech with Gargologist, and we'll get into Hippity Hop 2. You have really, really good 5-cost Garg. So Gargologist on 2. If you've played Black Hole on turn 1, you play Gargologist in 2 in a different lane. If it lives, you're playing Frankatar on turn 3. The other thing you can do this is running it in like Electric Boogaloo in decks that have Garg synergy, because then you'll have cards like Nurse Gargantuar, which is really, really buffed and is very, very good with the Franks. The Frank's doing all this damage and then splashing. The third way you can use the Frankatar, besides for in a Garg deck and in a Garg synergy deck like Gargologist or Garg synergy deck, the third way is really just in a Swarm deck as a finisher, because if you have a lot of minions on the board, this is finishing them off with the 2 damage splash, but it's also growing a lot whenever those other minions are dying, so that'll make this an even higher value card. It has a lot of uses, and this is really good. I mean, I love it. It's got to be an A tier, right? This is one that's going in A. I'm not going to put a lot of Gargs in A tier, but this one and the next one I will be putting in A tier, and we're going to move right into Hippity Hop Garg. This is a perfect Garg. First of all, 5 cost 6/5. I mean, that is not a amount of damage that you can laugh at. That is really, really, really good. It's a lot of attack. But the key to this, the buff that this card got, is it used to make the mystery egg only when it takes damage, but now it's when played and when hurt, it's making the mystery egg. So it's always throwing an egg when you play it, which negates the problem that all these big Gargs have if you play them on the board and they instantly get removed. It's at least leaving some value on the board. So you play this, it gets doomshroomed, you've still won that trade by having that egg. Besides for the fact that, again, getting hurt is a very easy condition to happen, and this is very often. I mean, the average amount of eggs you're getting from your Hippity Hop Garg went way up because it's throwing one when played, but it's almost always going to throw at least 1 more. Very often it's going to be throwing 2 more, which again, those eggs, you're getting just 1 or 2 cost cards, but you can do stuff with that. It's going to be chump locking lanes. You can take those cards and grow them. Those cards are dying, so they're going to be buffing your Valk and your Frankatar. I love this card to death. And it's going up in A tier because you can really actually just run this as a finisher and just throw it on the board. 5 cost, ton of value. It's leaving value on the board. They got to deal with it. This and Frankatar you can just run, and because they're cheap enough. They're still 5 cost dry minions, but they're cheap enough and high enough. They're high. The reward is high enough that the risk is worth it. And especially this has very low risk because it's always leaving that egg on the board. It really mitigates it's high reward and now low risk. This is probably even better overall than Frankatar because of that little egg that it spawns. It solves the problem that Gargs have. Beautiful. I mean, this is one I never even thought about this, and this is one that was just absolute genius. Whoever you are at PopCap who made these changes. It does look like I skipped something else here. It looks like when I was arranging the cards for this tier list, I was running around like a chicken without a head. In fact, I'm going to just tell my editor to move Gizzard Lizard. I'm just telling him to put it in the right part of the video. Okay. All right, here is Gizzard Lizard. So this is a card that got really, really buffed. This is such an interesting card. I love this one. So 3 cost, 3/3. It used to be Zombie Evolution do 2 to everything, but now it's do 3 to everything, and that's a huge buff. The difference between 2 damage and 3 damage in PvZ heroes is absolutely massive. This card still suffers from the same problem that it always used to. First of all, it's Zombie Evolution, so it's a huge commitment to play. Otherwise, it's just a 3 cost, 3/3 pet monster. It's pretty bad. So you need the evolution, so it's a big committal, but it's only killing the things that they played the turn before. It's a dry zombie. It's a non-gravestone zombie. It's not going to be killing the things they played that turn. And that's the reason why, for the most part, this card is only going to be useful with Professor Brainstorm, that has these 2 neat cards called Teleport and Teleportation Zombie. Teleport and Teleportation Zombie transform Gizzard Lizard from a mediocre card to an absolute monster, because now you're able to actually take care of what they've played that turn, and this will get it even on turn 4 or turn 5. This is still going to be getting a ton of value. You can do this with Boogaloo and Infinity and Z-Mech. It can have use. I've tried this. It obviously has very niche uses with those heroes, because every once in a while they'll just have a board with a bunch of mushrooms or beans or amphibious minions, and you just play this and they basically have to be like out of cards. They've committed so much into the Gizzard Lizard for it to be useful with the other minions, with Brainstorm, with the other heroes. But with Brainstorm, they don't have to have committed and have an empty hand for this to be good. It's just value for the card play. It's just a great play that turn to be able to teleport this in. You can look up the deck that I did this. I controlled with Gizzard Lizard and went to Mechasaur. It was really, really amazing. So yeah. Because Gizzard Lizard is only useful with Brainstorm, it's very, very niche, but it is very, very powerful. This is the problem. It's really, really hard for me to think where I'm going to put this on the tier list. But practically, in terms of how much, it's so powerful. But it's so niche. All right, I'm gonna put it in the same tier as Flamenco for that reason, of being this super, super powerful card, but being really practically super niche in the amount of decks that you can run it. It's got to be run with Teleport. It's pretty useless otherwise. All right, it's going in B tier. Okay. And last but least, here's Discotron. So Discotron used to be 6 cost 4/4, make a 3/1, make a 1/1. Now it's 6 cost 5/5, make a 3/1, make a 1/1. So it went from very mediocre stats for a 6 cost card to slightly less mediocre, but still quite mediocre stats for a 6 cost card. It's also just not doing enough for a 6 cost card. It's also an expensive gravestone. You don't want your gravestones to cost a lot, because they die really, really badly to grave removal. That costs 2, or Blockbuster only costs 4. The difference between this and, let's say, Binary Stars, which is a good card, is that Binary Stars is so impactful. Doubling all your damage, including what this is doing, including what your tricks are doing, your other minions are doing. Like, that's what an expensive gravestone is. High risk. The reward needs to be through the roof to be worth it, and Binary Stars has that. The other example of a card that is very good is Gargolith. That is an expensive gravestone, also 6 cost, but the high risk, but the reward is through the roof. When we're going to get this into the next when we do the sneaky tier list. Yeah, the amount of stats, and it's healing itself every turn and stealing block meter every turn. It's a super, super, super highly impactful card. This is not a super highly impactful card. This is just making a 3/1 and a 1/1, which on turn 6, like, what is that doing for you? It's not great. Can this be comparable to Hippity Hop Garg? Hippity Hop Garg is a 6/5. This is a 5/5. Hippity Hop Garg makes 2 eggs. This kind of makes 2 eggs, a 3/1 and a 1/1. I'd rather have the 2 eggs if I'm being honest. This is a gravestone. This might be better if it wasn't a grave. This might be better if it wasn't a gravestone. I don't know. Did this used to not be a gravestone? Was there a day when Discotron just wasn't? I think that was that wasn't this last year. I think that was just a long time ago. Practically, Discotron 3000 is an F tier card. Sorry, Twitch chat, where you're saying this should be in C or D. Absolutely not. This is an F tier card. I don't think you should ever, ever, ever look to run this in the deck. The only deck this would be useful are meme decks. So you're trying to like play this and then play Flamenco, which again, you're not going to have room for Flamenco, Discotron, and Binary Stars in the same deck. Just run Binary at that point. You can play this on turn 6 and hope all these little 1 health minions survive, and then Bad Moon Rising on turn 7. It's a meme combo. There's a lot better ways of doing that in this game. There's actually no reason to ever, ever, ever run Discotron. Not in Dancing Synergy, not in Science Synergy, and certainly not as a finisher. There's always a better option. There's always a better option than Discotron. I don't believe in it, guys. All right, guys, that was the crazy tier list. Let me know what you agree with and disagree with in the comment section below. Please do so respectfully, or just leave a comment of me committing some random crime while shouting one of my catchphrases. That works too. If you want to see the remaining tier list for the next 2 classes, and also we're going to go back and do the class by class tier list, like Sneaky class and Hardy class, put all those on a tier list. We're going to put the heroes on a tier list, and I have a couple other surprises for you as well. If you want to see that content, be sure to subscribe so you get notified. Otherwise, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace. This is Fry. No. Well, the difference in Hippity Hop is that it costs 5. This costs 6. This is worse than Hippity Hop, and it costs more. And it has less attack. I don't know why I even made that comparison. Hippity Hop costs 1 less than this. It's such a big difference. At 5, maybe this would be good. Oh, thanks, Lazarus. No, I appreciate it. Sorry, I just didn't I didn't like react, because like the tier list videos, the way I'm recording it is different. Like I want it to be like flow. It's not like the PvZ Heroes where you have some action happening. The tier list videos, for them to be entertaining, I need to be talking every second, which means I have no chance to read chat. I'll look over at chat every once. You know, maybe like I looked over at chat during that video maybe 10 times just to kind of see what you guys were reacting after I've told you what tier I'm putting it. Like right when I put on the tier list, I'll go look at chat just to see y'all's reaction and see I didn't miss something. But no, I appreciate it. The YouTube stream had no sound. Thank you for telling me. You guys, everyone in the YouTube stream, say thanks, Lazarus, for spamming me with donations, by the way, to tell me that my stream didn't have sound. You guys should have some goddamn gratitude. Damn, we had 400 people. It's crazy. That's a lot of humans. All right, guys. I am not going to do the daily, but I am going to check your decks, and we can include, speaking of YouTube, because we're in long-form content mode here, we can include YouTube in that part of it. So let's get it started. We're going to check some decks and see what crazy shiz you guys think of. The one thing I gotta make on my thing is like make decks with Garg. Throwing Garg. Garg Throwing Imp. I think the thing with Garg Throwing Imp is you kind of have to have a little bit more of an empty board. If you're being very proactive, it becomes worse. Because they're usually, all their minions are going to be fronted. You're not going to have like an activator. It's more like in a slower deck, like a mid-range deck, it's going to be good. I don't even think I've unleashed the full power of Garg Throwing Imp. That's a great card. So much potential. It's so high reward and relatively low risk. I love that card. All right, the first deck is from Dang Use the Mate. Let's get the decks going here. Let's see what we got. Hello. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The ads are real. The ads are taking over. It's too invasive. Come on, Imgur. Why so big though? You're too big. Okay. That doesn't look good. There's something wrong with this. Let me try to fix the situation. Hello? Is this better? Is this better? Does that look better now? Looks pretty bad. Okay, anyway, that's what it looks like. Why is the bottom cut off, though? What is this? Why is there a blue button? Imgur went to shit lately. I don't agree, Imgur. All right, let's get rid of these lines. Dang Use the Mate. Grass Knuckles #1. Okay, so you're running tempo. You're running very high quality cards. Except for this, Party Time's not very good, and so is this card. You don't want Water Chestnut. There's no use for that in this deck. You're running it because of Starch Lord. It's not worth it. Just run more Garlics or just Potato Mine is better, honestly. And then you're putting some tempo. You're putting some starch. You have 1 onion rings. Not going to be mad at you, but you're mostly finishing off after you've grown your click peas and your cabbage pulse, and then your Starch Lord with everything. You're going for Potted Powerhouse Espresso. We've done a deck like this. Starch Lord with Potted. I think I did Starch Lord Potted Powerhouse. Let me just make sure I did this deck. If not, I'll write it down.
We need a leap.
Pulling all her shies around.
Stop playing baseball. Oh my gosh. I hate when you open YouTube, it just starts playing. Like, how do I make that not happen? That's so annoying. Who just subscribed? I don't know, I missed it. Starch Lord Potted Powerhouse. This is how you find my decks, by the way. Yep. Oh yeah, I love that thumbnail. It was the Happy New Year stream. We did that right around January 1st. Thank you, Valix, for 4 months. I do appreciate it. Yep. So you can see my version there. I love the espressos. Maybe a 3rd espresso would be good if you can get your hands on one. The Lord Donut. 3 espressos is the par amount. Sometimes I run 4, sometimes 2, but 3 is usually the right amount. Great card. Let's go to... Here's the next deck. Yeah, I'm getting into baseball. I'm just watching the Dodgers. They're so good. Sorry, not sorry. Just watching whatever team Shohei Ohtani is on, honestly. If they trade him to the Yankees, I'll watch the Yankees. Heal Hell. Heal. It's a lot of heal. You're also running cross-pollination for both your onion rings. And so you got a lot of like your heal cards, you know, your little buddies and your ketchup mechanics, and even your pepper MDs are quite good with onion rings. You're running an onion rings heal deck. We've done this a number of times in the past, and this looks great. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with running espresso, especially because you can get big pepper MDs, and big ketchup mechanic particularly grows a lot after you onion ring it, and then you've got some removal with Cobb Cannon. Everything here seems legit. You know, it's a lot of card draw, but you're doing that. It's kind of first and foremost an onion rings deck. This deck looks beautiful. You're also running Bok Choy as an early game control card, as a card that's really good with onion rings, but then also a base for Cobb Cannon. Bok Choy getting team up? I'm telling you, man. Self-decking out? What? I mean, you're running 4 types of card draw. Is that the point, just to run out of cards? Otherwise, this deck kind of sucks. You have no finishers. I don't understand. Is it like a challenge? Just a challenge stream. Can I run out of... Forgetting about making opponents run out of cards, can I run out of cards? we'll see about that. Onion mints. So onion rings deck, you're trying with doubled mints, which is very overkill, by the way. Like, once you onion rings, getting a 2-cost 4/4, you don't need to be doubling every turn. They're usually going to be able to answer one thing, and it'll just end up being the doubled mint. I feel like maybe this would be good if there was sort of more of a way of playing this in the early game, and maybe running cards like Garlic to protect your double mint, or Photosynthesizer, or something like that. Like, maybe that would sort of make the double mint worth it. Otherwise, this is an onion rings deck that's relying very, very heavily on onion rings. I mean, you really don't have unless you can somehow take over with your pear cubs and your cabbage pulse, there's very, very little power in this deck. Probably adding a second way to win would be good. And you don't need all this early game and the sea shrooms, and like maybe going like leafy, maybe running savage spinach since you're anyway kind of running leafy package already. I think some savage spinaches would go a long way. That technically gives you another use for your doubled mint too, which starts off at 3 attack. You can get rid of some of these amphibious minions. They're not necessary. I would just get rid of like the sea shrooms or the sting beans, either one. Cool. That was Lazzy Grizzly. Next is Keasko. Okay. Binary Gizzard is a lot of death to dragon fruits. Binary Gizzard Lizard. I love this deck. And I'm jonesing to make another Gizzard Lizard deck after that tier list, so I'm writing this down. We're doing this one. Binary Stars Gizzard Lizard Answers Dragon. Oh my gosh. On Trickster or Valk? Like maybe Valk would be better. I didn't talk about in Gizzard Lizard that you have to have a base for it. You do have to have minions though. Probably Valk would be better in this deck. I think I didn't really talk about that in the tier list, which I should have. Gizzard Lizard needs to have a base, and that is a problem. I'm gonna do this with Valk. But I love it. Gizzard Lizard, minions, Valk, Mustache Monument, Binary Star. Binary Valk is so good. I love it. I love it. I love it. Keasko. There you go. That's how it's done. We got 2 more here. What just happened? This is from NFC Hercules. The premise of the stack is a Mustache, Sun Bandit. Mustache Sun Bandits. You know, I'm always searching for the Rust Bolt Mustache deck. But this is going to have a problem that they all have. The problem they all have is that there's no cheap mustaches for your mustache waxer. Maybe run Pool Shark. There isn't a real good answer to that problem. Like this deck looks like it would be better without mustache waxer, honestly. And run Rolling Stone. Mustache Waxer really thrives when you can play it together, play it dry, and then play a whole bunch of non-gravestone cheap mustaches, and you just don't have that. And here's the last deck from Doobies. So you're running a pet. It's a Brain Freeze pet deck with Space Time. And Gargalith as a finisher. Pets have some issues. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I love the idea of playing Space Time and then getting free lunch boxes, though. Love that. If you want to see I did actually make a version of this once, and I think you should be running Dog Walker for control, no space time. If you want to see my version of this, check it out. It's called I think it was Brain Freeze OTK Cowboy, I called it, but it did run Cat Lady, and it ran Graveyard it ran some Graveyards and some Area 22s, I believe, like 3 of each. And Graveyard was a way of putting your Cat Lady protecting and then putting a bunch of lunchboxes on it. You can check that out. I think maybe without Zookeeper would be better. I know that's part of the pet synergy, but probably just honestly just Cat Lady and Lunchbox and Cowboy is probably the way to go. All right, guys. You can post a deck using fries. We're all out of stock for today. You kind of have to come early in order to catch those, though. But it really doesn't fill up every day, though. You can come in the first half of the stream and you'll get a chance. Otherwise, just leave a YouTube comment and don't post the whole deck. Just write your combo you want me to try to see. That's the best way to... You can post in the chat right now, too. Just say, hey, Fry, how about Garg throwing Imp with the... I don't know. Overshoot environment, so they have to deal with it. I don't know. When do you normally stream? I don't really have a set time. I used to have like a set time I stream, and now it's when I feel like I have the best energy to make a good stream. You know? I feel like that's worked out better for me. As opposed to forcing it at 2 p.m. every day. But practically these days I'm streaming between Eastern time and back in Canada. While I'm in Canada, it's typically between 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock Eastern time. All right, guys, I gotta go. That was a good one, though. Clearly bonus strike through. Maybe. When can we watch your videos in 4K? So I stream in 60 frames per second, which is a big deal over 30, and 1080p. The reason why I don't do 2K and 4K, first of all, it won't make a very big difference for PvZ Heroes. That doesn't have 4K graphics. It's a 1080p game anyway. But the other reason is that once you start going up to 2K and 4K, it creates a lot of technical difficulties with the day-to-day stuff. I do very long streams, and I'm doing a lot of them, very high volume. So even right now, my 60 frames per second streams, each video file, each hour and a half stream is a few gigabytes, between 3 and 6 gigabytes a pop. So that's just a lot of storage space for computers. It's not just for me, but it's also for my editor downloading it. If we would go to 4K, it would increase the amount of time it would take to download and store everything by about 8 or 10 times. It's a very, very big difference when you start getting up to those high resolutions. It wouldn't make enough of a difference. Yet again, if I was playing a game that had really advanced graphics, playing Elden Ring, then it probably would make a very big difference for me to have a higher quality. But right now, something that you got to learn when you're streaming is to really make it reliable. Don't try to get too greedy. It's something that I found. I love the Philippines, and I will almost for sure be going back there soon. It's kind of like my new home. Just here visiting family. Hi, Fry, you're my idol. You're so sweet. Tomb Raider as a finisher, it's good. Yeah, the 5 damage. Well, I'll get into Tomb Raider when we do the sneaky tier list, but it's a great card. It's another card I haven't ran in a while, and I would like to. I have a feeling we'll get another balance patch sometime in the next year. I really hope we do. Particularly for Sunshroom. Everything will be fine then. Alright guys, I gotta go. Toodles! Bye.